In every corner of the globe, cities rise with towering skylines, bustling streets, and millions of dreams woven into their foundations. Yet behind the beauty and ambition, some of these cities hide a darker reality. A reality shaped by crime syndicates, corruption, poverty, and battles for survival that unfold in the shadows. In today's video, we journey into the world's most dangerous cities, places where life moves fast, uncertainty hangs thick in the air, and danger becomes part of daily routine. This is not to judge or demonize these cities, but to explore the deep, complex stories behind them, stories of struggle, resilience, conflict, and the unseen forces that shape life on the edge. Our journey begins in Caracas, Venezuela, a city often ranked among the most dangerous in the world. When you step into Caracas, the first thing that hits you is the contrast. Breathtaking mountain ranges in the backdrop, a city lit with life, and yet underneath that vibrancy lies an environment shaped by years of economic collapse, political turmoil, and social breakdown. For many residents, danger is not a distant possibility. It's woven into daily routines. People move carefully, constantly aware of their surroundings, because the city has long been known for alarmingly high homicide rates, kidnappings, armed robberies, and gang violence. The roots of Caracas's challenges run deep. Years of economic crisis pushed millions into poverty, creating fertile ground for criminal groups to gain strength. As money lost value and jobs disappeared, many young people turned to gangs simply to survive. These groups operate entire neighborhoods, controlling movements, demanding loyalty, and enforcing their own rules. For outsiders, these areas, often referred to as zonas de paz, are nearly impossible to enter safely, but for residents, they are home, even though life there is shaped by silent agreements with the local gang leaders. Walking through the city, you see armored vehicles parked outside banks, shop owners who close early, and streets that empty quickly after sunset. For many families, the night is something to fear rather than enjoy. Even traveling across districts requires caution, because some streets are controlled by rival groups, and a wrong turn can bring unimaginable danger. But beyond the fear, there is also a powerful spirit of resilience. Street vendors continue opening their stalls each morning, children run through schoolyards, and people find joy in small things. Music, food, football, community gatherings, despite the risks around them. The police and National Guard struggle to maintain control, not because they are absent, but because corruption, underfunding, and political tension often limit their influence. In some cases, officers avoid certain neighborhoods entirely, leaving residents to negotiate their safety directly with local criminal groups. Hospitals, too, feel the impact. Many trauma units are overwhelmed, and doctors work under harsh conditions, treating victims of violence almost daily. Yet, even in all this, Caracas is not a city without hope. Community groups, churches, and charities fight tirelessly to support children and vulnerable families, offering education, food, and activities that help keep young people away from gang life. Artists paint murals calling for peace, musicians use their skills to give youth alternatives, and activists push for justice and recovery. The people of Caracas still dream of change. A safer city, a recovered economy, and a future where walking through the streets doesn't come with fear. Their resilience is what keeps the city alive, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Our journey continues as we move across the ocean to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, a city that for many years held the grim title of the murder capital of the world. San Pedro Sula is a place where danger is woven into the very rhythm of everyday life, where stepping outside your door requires caution, and where the line between safety and danger can shift in a matter of seconds. Surrounded by lush forests and mountains, the city almost looks peaceful from a distance. But within its streets lies a history of gang dominance, economic struggles, and a fight for survival that has defined generations. Life in San Pedro Sula is shaped heavily by the presence of powerful gangs, especially MS-13 and Barrio 18. These rival groups have carved the city into invisible territories, controlling neighborhoods with unspoken rules that residents learn from childhood. A simple mistake, like walking into the wrong area or wearing the wrong color, can provoke conflict. These gangs don't just control the streets. They influence businesses, transport routes, and even schools. Many shop owners pay war tax, a form of extortion that can destroy livelihoods. Those who refuse often face threats, violence, or even death, forcing families to abandon their businesses and sometimes flee the city altogether. Public transportation is one of the most dangerous spaces in San Pedro Sula. Bus drivers have been frequent targets of gang violence, especially when companies fail to pay extortion fees. Many drivers start their day with the fear that it might be their last, and passengers share that same anxiety. But for thousands of people, buses are the only affordable way to move around the city. So each day, they board them with silent prayers and cautious eyes. The deep roots of violence in San Pedro Sula can be traced to years of political instability, poverty, and the effects of drug trafficking routes that pass through Central America. The city sits in a strategic location between the Caribbean Sea and major trade paths, making it a crucial transit point for drugs moving north. With so much illicit money flowing through the region, criminal networks grew stronger, more organized, and more violent, and the people of San Pedro Sula were caught in the middle. Hospitals and clinics often feel the weight of this reality. Emergency rooms deal with gunshot wounds and trauma cases almost daily. Doctors work long hours, sometimes with limited resources, doing everything they can to save lives in a system that struggles to keep up. Many residents, especially young people, face the constant pressure to join gangs because of limited opportunities. When jobs are scarce and schools are underfunded, the promise of money and protection becomes tempting, even if it means stepping into a world filled with violence. Yet, despite all the challenges, San Pedro Sula is a city of incredible resilience. Community leaders, teachers, and volunteers work tirelessly to create safe spaces for children, offering programs that teach music, sports, and vocational skills to keep them away from gang influence. Some churches open their doors around the clock, functioning as sanctuaries for families running from threats. In certain neighborhoods, residents have formed community watch groups, supporting each other and reporting suspicious activity in an effort to reclaim their streets from criminal control. And still, every morning, the city wakes up. Markets open, children walk to school, workers head out to factories, and life continues. People laugh, celebrate birthdays, and gather with family, refusing to let fear dictate every moment of their lives. San Pedro Sula remains dangerous, but it also remains alive, shaped by both its struggles and the determination of its people to build a better future, even when the odds seem impossible. We now travel to Cape Town, South Africa, a city loved for its breathtaking beauty, but equally feared for the hidden violence lurking within some of its neighborhoods. Cape Town is one of the most visually stunning cities on the continent, Table Mountain standing proudly above the skyline, the Atlantic Ocean crashing along the shores, and vibrant streets filled with culture, music, and diversity. But beneath this postcard-perfect image lies a far more complex and dangerous reality, especially in areas known as the Cape Flats, where gang wars, drugs, poverty, and decades of inequality have created an environment many residents navigate with constant caution. To understand Cape Town's struggle, you must first understand its history. During the apartheid era, entire communities were forcibly removed from their homes and relocated to the Cape Flats, a sprawling, sandy, underdeveloped area where thousands of displaced families were packed into overcrowded neighborhoods. With little infrastructure, limited schools, and scarce job opportunities, crime found fertile ground. Over the years, gangs like the Americans, the Hard Livings, the 28s, the 20SIXS, and the 27s have grown into powerful networks controlling drug distribution, extortion, smuggling, and in some cases even community activities. These gangs don't just operate on the streets. They influence prisons, businesses, politics, and entire neighborhoods. For many residents, the sound of gunfire is not unusual. Children grow up learning how to drop to the ground when shots ring out. Families avoid certain streets, and simple daily tasks like walking to the store or taking public transport can become dangerous depending on the time of day and the latest conflict between rival gangs. Turf wars are common, with gangs constantly trying to expand or defend their territories. A single disagreement or betrayal can trigger a wave of shootings that affect everyone living nearby, even those who have nothing to do with crime. Despite the heavy presence of law enforcement, policing in Cape Town remains complex and often strained. Many communities feel neglected, accusing authorities of reacting slowly or failing to provide consistent protection. In some cases, residents hesitate to report crimes because they fear retaliation from gangs or distrust the police due to past abuses. The government has deployed specialized units and even brought in military assistance at times to stabilize volatile neighborhoods. But lasting change remains a challenge because the roots of the violence go far beyond policing. They are deeply tied to generations of social and economic inequality. Inside the Cape Flats, you'll find families living under constant pressure, but you'll also find incredible resilience. Mothers work tirelessly to keep their children away from gang life, often enrolling them in after-school programs, sports teams, or church groups. Community organizations run safe houses, youth mentorship programs, and feeding schemes to protect vulnerable children. Some former gang members now share their stories publicly, warning young people about the dangers of joining gangs and encouraging them to pursue education or skilled work instead. Yet, the environment can be unforgiving. Drug abuse remains widespread, fueled by substances like tic, a cheap and highly addictive form of methamphetamine that has caused devastating damage in many communities. Addiction often leads to violence, breakdowns in families, and deeper involvement in criminal activities. Schools in these areas also face challenges, including overcrowding, limited resources, and students who must balance learning with the chaotic realities happening outside their classroom walls. Still, Cape Town is a city of contrasts, and it is not defined solely by its violence. In the heart of the city, tourists explore colorful streets like Bocap, surfers fill the beaches, restaurants buzz with life, and the natural beauty remains unmatched. Even in the most affected neighborhoods, you can feel the warmth of community. People who support each other, share meals, celebrate milestones, and hold on to hope. Cape Town's story is one of pain and beauty intertwined, a city fighting to overcome the shadows of its past while embracing the possibility of a safer, more united future. Our journey now takes us to Tijuana, Mexico, a city that sits right along one of the busiest international borders in the world. Tijuana is a place of sharp contrasts. Vibrant culture, booming nightlife, endless movement of people, and at the same time, a history of violence tied deeply to drug trafficking, cartel warfare, and the desperate struggles of migrants hoping to cross into the United States. It is a city where hope and danger walk side by side, creating a complex atmosphere that shapes every corner of life. When you first see Tijuana, it feels alive in every sense. The streets are packed with vendors selling tacos, artwork, crafts, and music that spills out from open-air bars. Tourists flock to the city for entertainment, shopping, and food. Yet, behind the energy that draws millions lies a darker undercurrent, controlled by powerful cartels who have fought for decades to dominate the drug routes that run through this region. The city's strategic location makes it a prime target. Whoever controls Tijuana controls a gateway worth billions. For years, the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco New Generation cartel have engaged in vicious conflicts here, battling for smuggling corridors that stretch from the Mexican coast into California. These wars spill into neighborhoods, with assassinations, kidnappings, and shootouts becoming almost routine in some areas. Residents often speak of fear that never fully leaves, the fear of being caught in the crossfire, of witnessing violence in public spaces, of seeing heavily armed men move through the streets with chilling confidence. Many people in Tijuana live with caution, always alert, always aware that danger can erupt without warning. One of the city's biggest challenges is the constant flow of migrants arriving from other parts of Mexico, Central America, South America, and even countries across the ocean. Many of these migrants are escaping violence in their home regions, hoping to reach the U.S. for safety and opportunity. But when they reach Tijuana, they often find themselves trapped between a closed border and the threatening presence of criminal groups. Some migrants end up in overcrowded shelters, living with uncertainty for months. Others are targeted by cartels for kidnapping, extortion, or forced labor, especially when they have no family or money to protect them. Hospitals in the city often treat victims of cartel violence. Gunshot wounds, knife injuries, beatings, and doctors speak of the constant pressure that never seems to ease. At the same time, law enforcement faces enormous challenges. Police officers, many underpaid and undertrained, find themselves dealing with well-funded criminal organizations that use intimidation, bribery, and fear to maintain control. Some officers have been killed for resisting cartel influence, while others are tempted or pressured into cooperating. This cycle makes maintaining order incredibly difficult, leaving some neighborhoods essentially ruled by criminal groups rather than the government. But Tijuana is not a city of only despair. In the midst of the danger, you'll find strong communities built on solidarity and survival. Local activists run safe houses for migrants, feeding them, giving them medical care, and protecting them from exploitation. Churches open their doors to families who fled violence in other regions. Artists paint sprawling murals across city walls, messages of peace, strength, and cultural pride that remind people of Tijuana's identity beyond crime. Street musicians perform passionately, creating moments of joy in places where fear often dominates. And despite everything, life goes on. Students attend school, markets bustle with shoppers, factories run day and night, and families gather around dinner tables sharing stories and laughter. Tijuana remains dangerous, but it is also incredibly resilient. The spirit of the people is what keeps the city alive, a belief that even in the face of violence, life must continue, dreams must be chased, and hope must remain stronger than fear. Our final stop brings us to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, a city whose story is one of unimaginable hardship, unbroken resilience, and a daily struggle against forces far more powerful than the ordinary people trying to survive them. Port-au-Prince is a place filled with vibrant culture, music, history, and spirit. Yet it has also become one of the most dangerous cities in the world, shaped by political instability, deep poverty, and the explosive rise of heavily armed gangs who control large portions of the capital. When you walk through Port-au-Prince, you feel a heavy tension in the air. Streets that should be filled with children playing and vendors shouting their prices often lie deserted, especially in neighborhoods controlled by gangs. In some areas, people know not to wander too far from home, not to walk after certain hours, and not to cross invisible boundaries marked not by signs but by the presence of armed men who decide who enters and who leaves. These gangs, often with better weapons than the police, run their territories like their own governments, collecting taxes, enforcing rules, punishing disobedience, and even mediating disputes among local residents. The rise of gang power in Port-au-Prince is tied deeply to the collapse of political order and years of economic crisis. With weak institutions, limited job opportunities, and a government often unable to enforce security, criminal groups filled the vacuum. Some gangs formed political alliances, gaining protection from powerful figures in exchange for votes, intimidation, or control of certain regions. Over time, many of these groups merged or expanded, forming massive networks capable of shutting down the entire capital with blockades, kidnappings, or armed clashes. One of the darkest realities in the city is kidnapping. In Port-au-Prince, kidnappings happen in broad daylight, on the way to school, leaving a shop, even during church gatherings. Victims range from foreign aid workers to local teachers, students, doctors, market women, and taxi drivers. Families, already struggling to afford basic needs like food, water, and electricity, are forced to gather ransoms they cannot pay. Many sell everything they have, borrow from neighbors, or turn to charity organizations in desperate attempts to free their loved ones. The city's infrastructure also adds to its vulnerability. Electricity is unreliable, roads are damaged, and hospitals lack resources to treat the growing number of victims from gang violence. Doctors often work with limited supplies, sometimes without basic medicines or equipment, yet they continue saving lives in conditions that would overwhelm even the strongest health systems. Schools in gang-controlled zones are frequently forced to shut down, leaving thousands of children without education and exposing them to recruitment by the gangs themselves. For many parents, every morning is a moment of fear, the fear that their children might never return home. But even amid all this, Port-au-Prince is a city of unshakable spirit. Haitian people are known worldwide for their strength, their cultural pride, their music, and their ability to find hope in the darkest storms. In the middle of the chaos, churches sing loudly each night, their voices rising above the gunfire. Street vendors return to their stalls the moment calm returns, determined to earn a living. Young people dance and play music as a form of expression and resistance. Community groups provide food, shelter, and support to displaced families. Local artists paint powerful murals that reflect both the suffering and the dreams of their communities. Even in neighborhoods most affected by violence, you find moments of unity. Neighbors sharing meals, volunteers organizing peace marches, and mothers raising their children with the hope that one day, Haiti will break free from the grip of insecurity and rebuild itself. Port-au-Prince's story is not only one of danger. It is also a story of perseverance, of humanity refusing to be defeated, and of a people who continue to believe in a brighter tomorrow despite every challenge that surrounds them. As we reflect on these dangerous cities, it's important to understand that violence does not define them completely. Places like Caracas, San Pedro Sula, Cape Town, Tijuana, and Port-au-Prince each carry layers of history, culture, and human struggle that go far beyond the statistics. And in this section, we take a step back from the individual cities and explore the deeper forces at work, the global patterns, the shared roots, and the quiet stories of everyday people that connect these places in unexpected ways. Because behind every dangerous city, there is always a bigger story shaping the world around it. One common thread connecting these cities is inequality, the growing gap between those who have opportunity and those who do not. In many of these places, wealthy districts with high walls, private guards, and stable services sit only a few kilometers away from neighborhoods where people live without electricity, clean water, or functioning schools. This imbalance creates environments where frustration, unemployment, and hopelessness push young people toward criminal groups who promise protection, money, or even a sense of belonging. It's a cycle that repeats generation after generation, especially when governments fail to address the root causes. Another factor is political instability. When governments are weak, corrupt, or constantly shifting, criminal organizations move in to fill the vacuum. They build networks, collect their own taxes, enforce their own laws, and challenge the state itself. We see this clearly in Haiti, where gangs have grown more powerful than official institutions, or in parts of Mexico where cartels operate like parallel governments. The failure of leadership doesn't just create danger, it allows danger to become part of everyday life. Drug trafficking is another force that links these dangerous cities. Whether it's the cocaine routes through Central America, the meth and fentanyl pipelines flowing through Mexico, or the smuggling operations hidden within coastal cities, the global drug trade injects billions of dollars into the criminal underworld. With that money comes weapons, recruitment, and violent competition. Ordinary residents are often caught in the middle, living in places where the presence of drugs brings both economic dependence and deadly conflict. At the same time, the influence of global migration is impossible to ignore. In cities like Tijuana and Port-au-Prince, thousands of migrants and refugees move through or settle temporarily, many escaping violence in their own countries. But in unfamiliar cities with limited resources, they become targets for exploitation, human trafficking, and kidnapping. Their presence creates both humanitarian challenges and security tensions, shaping the identity of entire neighborhoods and straining already fragile infrastructures. However, what truly stands out is the resilience of everyday people living inside these dangerous cities. Despite the fear, the chaos, and the constant uncertainty, families continue to build lives. Parents work long hours, determined to keep their children in school. Young entrepreneurs start small businesses even in the most unstable neighborhoods. Teachers risk their safety to educate children who have nowhere else to turn. Nurses and doctors show extraordinary courage, treating victims of violence with compassion and dedication, even when their hospitals lack basic supplies. Then there are the community heroes, volunteers who open their homes as shelters, activists who organize peace marches, artists who paint murals calling for unity, and religious leaders who provide hope when people feel abandoned by everyone else. These unsung heroes become the backbone of their neighborhoods, standing strong not because they are fearless, but because they refuse to let fear destroy the heart of their city. It's also important to note that many of these dangerous cities are working toward recovery. Reforms are being planned, Police units are being strengthened, social programs are expanding, and international organizations are offering support. While change may be slow and the obstacles enormous, the desire for peace is present everywhere. In each city, there are people dreaming of a different future. A future where their children can play freely in the streets, where businesses can grow without fear, and where community life is defined not by violence, but by opportunity and safety. Ultimately, what these cities reveal is a world struggling with unresolved challenges: poverty, corruption, inequality, and global criminal networks, but also a world filled with people who refuse to give up. Their stories remind us that even in the most dangerous places, humanity pushes forward, hoping that one day the beauty of their cities will shine brighter than the shadows that surround them. As we come to the end of this journey through some of the world's most dangerous cities, one thing becomes clear: danger alone does not define a place. Behind every headline, every frightening statistic, and every moment of chaos, there are millions of ordinary people trying to survive, to rebuild, and to hope. These cities are filled with families who dream of safety, children who deserve brighter days, and entire communities that refuse to let fear consume their identity. We have seen violence, yes, but we have also seen resilience, the kind that grows from struggle, the kind that keeps people moving forward even when the world seems to be falling apart around them. As we reflect on Caracas, San Pedro Sula, Cape Town, Tijuana, and Port-au-Prince, we must remember that these are not just dangerous places. They are homes. They are places with life, culture, music, food, history, and laughter. They are places where hope fights to stay alive. And while the challenges are immense, the human spirit found in these streets is even stronger. It is a reminder that no matter how dark a story may seem, there is always someone lighting a candle, someone helping a neighbor, someone choosing love over fear, and someone working endlessly for a better tomorrow. If this video has opened your eyes or given you a deeper understanding of the world, then it has served its purpose. And if you want more stories like this, more deep dives, more powerful journeys, more human stories from around the globe, then I invite you to stay with us. Your support helps us tell these stories, bring awareness to forgotten places, and share voices that deserve to be heard. So, before you leave, please remember to like the video, leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Your subscription means the world and helps us reach even more people with stories that matter. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for your time, and until the next video, stay safe, stay curious, and keep exploring the world one story at a time.